God, we're meant to be having Hurricane Dorian giving us amazing waves, but we're not. And then it says this time last year, there's Hurricane Florence and doing the same, so little delivered and so crowded. Was the 14th of July 1993, and the reason I remember that was because the very next day I wrote it down in a very rudimentary diary that, first ever surf. Something kind of clicked that moment when I was in the water, having been leading this kind of fairly dissolute life up in London of smoking too many cigarettes, drinking far too much. I thought, wow. And I remember, sort of fast forward like to 2 months, September 1993, and I stood up and had a green wave, that moment, that kind of eureka moment as a surfer, when you're surfing a proper unbroken wave. And from that moment on, I thought, this is it. My life literally changed. I've given this wave 9.85 out of 10. 6 stars for the waves and the empty lineup. Nobody but Danny and myself out for 1.5 hours. Clean offshore, 3-foot perfection. I've given 3 stars for the 3-pod dolphins swimming under the boards and surfing, which I've never ever seen before. Literally swimming around, literally under the board, trying to touch in this clear water first thing in the morning. It was, you couldn't. I've given 1/2 a star for almost getting tubed, and I've given 1/3 of a star for a person who was remained nameless, who was coming in, who basically was a complete wave hog. And I wasn't actually going to have to deal with him kind of licking all my waves. And that was like an almost 10-star session. Okay, so if you want to just stop it for a sec here, I'll just look for another.
My name is Jon Herbert. I'm a creative director and art director. I lived in London for 20 years, and 2.5 years ago up sticks, quit my job, sold my flat and moved to St Agnes in Cornwall. I met Andrew through working at a surfboard factory called Open. I used to work the Sunday shift, which became known as Sunday service. And the guys called me the Reverend because I'd always be here on a Sunday listening to everybody's stories, within the community. And Andrew would come in pre or post surf. He then started sharing with me his surfing journals, the sort of concept that he writes and documents every surf he ever does. When he told me about them and then brought one of the journals in, my instant response was, there's a coffee table book idea in that, and he was just really shocked and surprised, who would be interested. For me, his story is actually obtainable and achievable and inspirational. If I can commit myself to not being a part-time surfer and more of a full-time surfer, and have half those experiences he's had and still be charging like he does at 70, I'll be quite happy.
This here is a beautiful board, but it's on its last stage. You can see with all that, again, that one just there, that's Stuart, and unfortunately someone had whacked me there and I had to hold that all replaced, but that was a beautiful board. That's the one I was showing you, the John Kelly board. That one I was using for about 3 years, I reckon. This one here, I got about 10, 12 years ago, which is a performance longboard, a really beautiful board. And that one there was the board that's in my surf diary, is called Bird. When I think about it, and I've written in the surf diary that after a really good session, I say that I want to be buried along with my board. If that's going to happen, I've got to be surfing, haven't I? You're not going to bury me with my Zimmer frame, so it's going to be my surfboard is going to be there. And the board I'm using at the moment, which is called the Secret Weapon, you could say it's like an old man shortboard, but it flies, and it gives me the capability of getting out, capturing waves with the long boarders, but because it's a shorter board, I can do all this kind of, what I think are these Kelly Slater moves, but in my own mind, in my dreams they are, but I don't think they are in reality. But I kind of pretend to myself that I'm actually, you know, doing all these things that I see on the WSL tour, but I know they're not, but you know, I can fantasize. So I'll carry on, you know, I'll carry on until I can no longer surf. And I think then I might get onto a bodyboard. And, you know, if I can't do the pop-up anymore, I'll just get onto a board and, you know, still enjoy the waves until I can't, until I physically can't.